Yeah, we have the attorney coming on who's got a case. He's got a client that he's representing in a case that's similar to the one with the Cleveland girls being chained and shackled on the West Side, which, by the way, is the only way you could keep me on the West Side. But never mind. All right, his name is Richard Chandler. Let's see if we can get him on the phone here. Hey, there we go.
Richard Chandler.
Hey, Richard Chandler. It's Static Ling from Scrub Radio. How you doing?
Good, good. Appreciate the phone call.
Hey, no problem. You sent me that email, very detailed email, and I thought it was so cool that, I mean, interesting anyway, that you have a client who's kind of in the same situation as these girls up in Cleveland.
Yeah, and you know, those girls' situation is absolutely tragic, but, you know, my client's situation is just as tragic, if not more so in a lot of ways.
Where are you calling from? Is this an Ohio case, too?
It is in Ohio. I'd
God.
prefer not to mention the area, but it is shall we say, in your backyardish.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so tell me about it. What your client's a man. Was he chained by some guy too?
Let me explain how I even got involved. It was kind of an odd turn of events. I actually got involved. Obviously, I do criminal defense. And Mr. Wong, that's my client's name.
Oh, Mr. Wong.
Raymond Wong. Yep. He was arrested by the Ohio State Patrol.
Okay.
On, I think it was New Year's Day. He was
the worst.
He was wandering in a snowstorm on Route 18, wearing basically a leather ball gag and restraints, and nude.
Wow. On New Year's Day, I remember New Year's Day. This year, it was cold.
Yes. No, this was 2012.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. So, but and that's what I'm saying. I mean, his case is just absolutely faded into obscurity. It's so sad. But he, obviously was arrested for, at the time, public indecency.
Sure.
And he, didn't speak English the best, but he was trying to explain, what had happened. And, unfortunately, the humiliation and abuse that this poor man suffered only got worse once he got put into lockup. In his condition, there were a bunch of drunks in the holding tank, and they abused him a little bit as well. But it was just a bad series of events for this poor Chinese American man.
Wow. Well, what happened? I mean, why was he on the street? I mean, you can't blame the police for arresting a Chinese guy wearing a ball gag and leather restraints on New Year's Day, just walking down Route 18.
No, of course, but he was trying to, in the best English he could. And here's the situation: he had been actually captured. He was doing some landscaping. He's a lawn guy.
Okay.
And he was doing some landscaping for a fairly wealthy family, and apparently they had gone out of town for the weekend, and the young daughter, had some friends over, and basically one thing led to another, and they kidnapped my client and moved him to a different location and basically held him in captivity for approximately 8 years, and basically did very much the same to him as what we all expect was done to those poor, unfortunate young ladies in Cleveland.
What? Well, you said the daughter. How old was the daughter?
The daughter was 18, and her friends were 18 and 19. There were 3 of them.
And they kidnapped this guy. Was Mr. Wong about the same age?
No. My client, no. He was 52 at the time.
At the time he was kidnapped by 3 18-year-old girls?
Correct.
Oh, sorry. That sounds...
and it's understandable, but
wasn't he able to overpower them or something?
Well, he's not the largest man. I mean, he's a fairly on the smaller side, of I guess the scale of height for men or whatever. He's only about 5'4".
Okay.
But he was humiliated and abused and tortured and basically gang raped by these girls over and over again. And they did a lot more than but and then of course once he finally does get himself free, then he suffers the humiliation from a bunch of drunkards in a drunk tank of Ohio State Patrol.
Well, how did he? Well, he ended up. So for 8 years he was locked up. Where was he locked up? And was he locked up in this house that he was landscaping in the winter?
No. He was actually locked up in a summer house, an unused cottage, I guess you would call it.
Yeah. Okay.
Of one of the girls' parents, and it was just basically the same type of thing. He was on a chain. He was and he's gotten none of the sympathy or recognition or outpouring of support from the community like these young ladies did. In fact, he was able to get to a payphone and call 911 prior to him walking down the road. And when he called 911, it was a male 911 officer who answered, and he tried to explain the situation, and the 911 operator just laughed at him and said, what do you want, help or a medal?
Oh.
So, yeah. I mean,
do you have this recording?
We have secured the 911 tape.
Oh, that's rude. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think about this. He's 52 years old, and 3 18-year-old girls take him and chain him up and turn him into a sex slave.
Correct.
And were they odd? I mean, were they ugly girls? I mean, were they fat girls?
I would no. They were really hot. I mean, well,
jeez.
I hate to use that terminology. I mean, they were voluptuous. They were very attractive. Thin hips, large breasts. I mean, obviously, I mean, he was able to consistently get aroused by them. So.
Well, why would they kidnap a 52-year-old man if they're 18? I mean, they have their whole lives ahead of them. I mean, all the Girls Gone Wild videos ahead of them.
Well, yeah, he's a smallish guy, but he doesn't look 52. I mean, he looks maybe in his mid-30s. So.
Oh, okay, I see. They were going for like the old guy. They thought he was kind of a younger, more virile fellow.
Well, and he does landscaping and yard work and odd jobs and that. So I mean, he's in pretty good shape. I mean, he's wiry, you might say.
And he spent 8 years, and he finally escaped. Did he when he finally escaped and contacted you? I mean, how did you get involved in it?
I got involved when basically on the criminal charges of the public indecency.
It was like a public defender kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I was court appointed at the time,
yeah.
And then when the story began to come out, I pardon the pun, but I have talked to several other civil attorneys that I know, and the problem is we're having a real hard time finding anybody that feels sorry for this guy.
Oh, I see. Oh man, yeah. I mean, I'm having trouble with that too.
So I mean, it's
did he have a family? I mean, he's 52. He had a family and stuff that he didn't see for 8 years.
Well, yeah, but they were in San Francisco. I mean, they weren't here.
Okay, well, they missed him, right?
Apparently not that much.
Oh, okay. All right. So he didn't have a lot to go back to anyway, and here he is locked up.
Well, I mean that's no excuse to chain a man to a commode in the basement and gang rape him.
These 3 18-year-old girls. I mean,
they were only 18 at the time. I mean, they're in their mid-20s, late 20s now.
Okay, so it's 3 26-year-old girls ganging up on this.
By now it was approximately a period of, I think he was in prison for about 8 years, maybe a little less. So, yeah.
And did the police investigate this? I mean, you said the police didn't.
Not at all.
Really?
Nope, not at all.
So the 3 girls, they haven't been arrested. Nothing's happened to them.
No. I think they. I guess, and no babies were made, so there's no way to prove, through DNA or anything. But and the girls are just like, no, no way, it didn't happen.
Really? So?
No, I think one of them's married now, and they all have boyfriends and stuff, and so yeah, I mean they've gone on with their lives.
And this and your client, what happened on the indecency charge? I mean, is that all taken care of?
Yes, we were able to get that dismissed at his cost. He had to pay the court costs on
Really?
it, but yeah.
Okay. Budfugger in the chat room wants to know if you've already filed a case, and I would add to that, if you have filed a case, who would it be against?
Well, exactly, and we're still no a civil case has not been filed yet. We have 2 years. Is the statute of limitations on the intentional or negligent infliction of emotional distress, as well as the there's a number of intentional torts. I mean, assault, kidnapping. I mean, these types of things come to mind. But the problem again is finding people that feel sorry for this guy, because as soon as they look at him, they look at the pictures of the girls, they go, hey, good for him.
So you know who they are. I mean, you have their names and everything. You know the
girls.
Well,
yeah, he knew the family that he was working for, so he knew that girl, and then it was not hard to figure out, with a private investigator, who her friends were, who the other two were.
And have you talked with them? I mean,
I have not. Okay. No, my private investigator has. I have not.
And what did they say? I mean, do they admit this?
No, they absolutely not. They deny even knowing the man.
Really? So how are you? I mean, this seems like it's a really difficult case. You're going up against. I mean, I would assume if they have summer houses and stuff, these are fairly well-to-do girls.
Well, at least the one family was, yes.
Yeah.
But he has knowledge of very intricate parts of their body, markings and things like. I mean, he's going to be able to identify these girls.
Anything you can tell us about, like any certain parts that look weird or don't work right or have
well he knows where birthmarks are, for example.
Okay.
One of the girls had inverted nipples.
Oh, the worst. Innies.
Yeah, well, so that's not. I mean, that's just an unusual. It's a one in a whatever thing. So, and so there are moles and different body parts and things like that.
Geez,
I mean, he got a real good look at these girls for a lot of years.
That's true. And did he? Was there ever a Stockholm syndrome situation where he actually fell for one of them, or they fell for him, or anything?
No. Actually, I think he is now suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. He also erectile dysfunction now.
Oh, boy.
The only way apparently he can even get aroused now is through viewing bondage or sadomasochism or those types of things. So I mean, he's really messed up over it.
Oh man, and these were all white girls, or was there a whole mix of kind of girls?
No,
or?
these were white, middle class, yuppie college bound girls.
Oh, the worst. They're all three of them. Like there was no variety or anything.
Well, I mean, between blonde, brunette. I mean, but that's not it.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well,
yeah.
I mean, what were the? I mean, this is something that he could, if nothing else, he could write a book about. I mean, it would seem to me.
Well, and we've explored that. We've also we've been in touch with a few people out on the West Coast. But again, the story just isn't picking up the traction. I think part of it is that, as I say, these young ladies were very attractive, and so a lot of the men are like, I don't see the harm, no foul, and a lot of even the women are. I don't know if it's a racist thing that because he's a Chinese American or that because he was a laborer that that it's kind of okay to keep your garden boy as a slave. I don't know. I'm not sure where people are coming down on this.
I gotcha. Well, you sent me quite a few pages. He's really working on an autobiography. I mean, his English is quite good. Or did you help him with this, or did somebody help him with these pages?
Well, believe it or not, actually, the girls.
No, the girls actually helped him write his autobiography?
No, but they helped him with his English.
Oh, okay.
Because when they would tell him what they would want him to do, and if he didn't understand, he'd catch a beating, and then eventually he would learn the words.
Oh, they would physically abuse. They would beat him, not just in a pleasure kind of beating way, but an actual hurting him kind of beating.
Oh yeah. No, if he didn't, for example, if he didn't put his penis in girl A's rectum when she wanted to, then he would get a spanking or a whipping.
Oh, they're into that stuff. That's terrible. Well,
Right,
who
which is
is?
now why the only way he can even get aroused is through bondage and sadomasochism and things like that.
Sure. Is he even back with his wife out in
No,
San
no, no, no.
Francisco?
His wife divorced him, figured him for gone and dead, and is remarried.
Oh, like an in absentia type divorce kind of thing.
Yeah, absolute abandonment. Yeah,
Oh.
but he didn't abandon anybody. I mean, not by choice, obviously, but.
Yeah, well, Budfugger in the chat room said, and made a really appropriate comment about his abuse. They treated him like a cue ball. The harder they hit him, the more English they got out of him.
That is about. Ask him if I can use that at trial. That's a very good line.
Oh, I think you can. I think I've heard that before.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm writing that one down.
Okay, well, now which one of the girls? Now I have your parts of the autobiography here. The part that I'm looking at here, it mentions a girl named Jackie. Now, is Jackie a real name of one of the girls, or is that just a pseudonym that you're using for the book?
No, that's one of the girls' real first names. Obviously, I haven't used last names yet until the case gets filed, and then, of course, it becomes a matter of public record.
Wow, and it seems that there was a lot of role playing that went on. They made them do fantasy type stuff.
They basically, if they could conceive of it, they would make him do it.
Wow.
And they had a very interesting, and painful way of making him comply.
Man.
And it involved his rectum and a cattle prod. And I mean, I don't want to go into a lot of details, but.
Wow, it says here. You don't mind if I read an excerpt of this, do you?
Please go ahead.
This is very interesting. All right, everybody. For those of you who just tuned in, we are talking with Richard Chandler. Oh, Chandler. Sorry, Richard Chandler. He's an attorney representing a Mr.
Not to be confused with that gorgeous movie star. I wish.
I'm sorry. Like I was telling the guys on the air here, I just watched the original Bourne Identity, and it was starred Richard Chamberlain. But anyway, Richard Chandler. Sorry about that. And he's representing Mr. Is it Russell Wong or Raymond Wong?
Raymond Wong.
Raymond Wong, who was kidnapped and spent 8 years in captivity at the hands of 3 18-year-old girls at the time, and now
yes, I call them the nubiles.
The nubiles. Does he call them that?
No.
Okay, all right. He
calls them whores, but
nice. Oh, well, I could see why. I mean, he's probably bitter.
All right. All
right. Here's an excerpt.
That's what they made him call them. Too.
Okay. Let's see. All right, here we go. This is interesting. I mean, he really describes the house. He says, I took the stairs 3 at a time, pulling off every stitch of clothing along the way. She turned off the water just as I reached the bathroom door, wearing nothing but an erection and a goofy grin. As I entered, Jackie, that's her name, Jackie, stepped out of the tub. Water dripped from her nipples. I stood perfectly still and stared at her. It had been 3 years since I'd last seen her naked. Much too long. See, this sounds very Stockholmy. She scolded me for not having extra towels. I told her I would lick her dry. She laughed, just like the first time I'd used that line on her. I asked if she really wanted to know what Ted and Eddie did, and she said yes. Who are Ted and Eddie? Were those the other girls?
Yeah, well, they used fake names with him, obviously.
Okay. Let's see. It continues here. Jackie said she had a deep taste for some hot paste. She got down on her knees and took my whole male chicken into her mouth. I grabbed her head and long brown hair as my male chicken tickled her tonsils. Oh, my gosh. She ran.
Well, you have to understand now. I want to stop you there because he says that there was 3 years in between the first time, and now understand he was in captivity for 8 years. These girls left him. They were not all 3 there all the time. I mean, they went off and did their lives, and they would come and visit him and make sure he had enough food and water, but there would only be maybe 1 or 2 at a time, depending on when and where. And so, it was kind of like he was their caged pet that they would come and visit and play with occasionally.
Okay, yeah, because it does honestly, just playing devil's advocate here. It does sound like he's kind of enjoying this stuff. Here's another. Well, I mean, here's another.
after.
Well, here's another
I mean,
paragraph. It says, "Look, it says, I quickly jerked it out before she sucked it dry. She didn't look too happy because she had always loved the taste. I told her I would save some of it for her for dessert. Then I got up and sat on the toilet seat. I turned her around, backside to me, and slipped into her snitch. Oh, snarch? I wanted her to pump me because the sight of her ass going up and down was great." Now, see, that really just sounds like he's really into it. It doesn't sound like this guy is being abused at all.
Well, I mean, okay, they're attractive women. He is a man. Obviously, his conditions of captivity depended on his performance, and obviously he was able to get her. I'm not saying that it was all bad. It's just wrong, is all.
All right, I don't know. I don't know what. You're going to sue for emotional distress, but I think these things.
Well,
that
I'm not married. I'm not married to that. I'm not married to that concept, and apparently not a lot of other civil tort attorneys are liking that thought either.
No, I mean, seriously, I'm going to just read just the parts that you send me, and it's kind of. If you're sending these around to other people, I really don't think that there's going to be much for a case of emotional distress. I mean, it sounds like the guy was honestly having a good time.
I wish perhaps maybe he hadn't have published and made that that part of the story public. Obviously, I think that damages the case somewhat. But we have shopped it around a little bit and have no takers so far. So.
Well, I can see that, but I mean, for the autobiography, is probably going to be pretty hot. I mean, you might actually make a lot of money off of that, and you might end up going that angle towards things.
Well, and the one interest or tickle that we did get from the West Coast was about making a adult movie version of the story, and that's something that we're looking into.
Yeah, and there's another one. I guess one of the other ladies, her name is Bonnie. Is that right?
Well, it depends on what her real name is, or if the name she gave him. Whichever one you want to use.
Well, now, see, this is where he's saying, I mean, it sounded like he was becoming like a confidant. Bonnie had mentioned many times how she felt neglected by her husband, but never hinted that she was willing to do anything about it. She told me the best present she got was her last birthday, a vibrator from her sister. I mean, this sounds like he's like taking them, she's taking them into her confidence and stuff. I mean...
Well, I told you. I mean, one of them did, in fact, get married, and, But that obviously didn't slow her attentions to my client down.
Well, I mean, how do you feel about these Cleveland girls? I mean, they're being hailed as heroes and stuff. I mean, do you think your client is a hero? I mean, do you feel kind of disrespected by the media? I mean, what do you think is what do you think of this whole thing?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the man was. I mean, look at the outpouring of sympathy and everything, and obviously it's warranted for these young girls, but. My guy was just as physically done to as I guess they were. Now, the whole matter of whether he enjoyed it or not. I mean, that's neither here nor there. I think it's the fact is that the man didn't really have. Well, he did have a choice. I mean, he had a choice between the three sometimes, but he didn't really have a choice of what where he was going to go and what he was going to do that day.
All right, and I know. I mean, how is your client doing financially? I mean, I know these girls. There has been a fund set up for them. It's called like the Cleveland Courage Fund or something like that.
Not at all. Not at all. He's actually living in a mission right now.
Like an actual mission, like a Christian kind of thing. Oh my God!
He's been taken in by a Catholic mission. Yes.
Oh man, and what's your take on this as an attorney? You're talking like you're going to get like what the usual attorney's fees. He's not paying you for this. You're doing this pro bono or based on a contingency.
Well, I mean, obviously I'm looking to try to get a contingent deal out of it, but so far as I say, I mean, it's just Cleveland really has a. I mean, it's a real two-faced community. I'm thinking, or it's a double-edged sword for sure. I think it's very hypocritical of people not to at least look at this guy's story and consider paying him.
No, I got you. And what county would this thing be filed in? I know you can't tell us exactly where it is, but what county would it be?
I would say in the Medina area.
Oh, down there. You're going to have a hard row to hoe for that one. Because
No
they're
shit.
like conservatives down there.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Here,
Yeah.
it says, look, when I came, I'm just reading this here. I mean, when I came up for air, she pulled my face down onto her big soft breast. While I was sucking her nipples, she fingered herself to a shuddering orgasm. Then
All right, now,
she ducked underwater
okay.
and took my prick
I'm
deep into her mouth.
See, and I'm even getting a little bit excited at this point. It's just it's hard to hear those kind of details and not think,
He's having a good time.
What a lucky guy. But I mean, don't put yourself in this position.
As a 52-year-old, when I get to be 52 years old, and I'm being repeatedly violated by 3 18-year-old girls, that's a hard case for emotional distress, I think.
Well, and that's why it's been over a year now, and nobody really wants to. So I was glad to be able to call your show and at least get his grievances aired a little bit. But I really wish he wouldn't have written all that stuff. It does kind of put a damper on trying to get paid. But
well, I tell you what, have you set up some kind of fund that people can donate to, possibly?
They can just send checks directly to me.
Okay, that's Richard Chandler.
Chandler. Yes.
Okay, finally I got it right. All right.
Yes, thank you. And yes, and I will set up a fund for him in his name. It'll be the Wong Foundation, and
nice.
I may come up with a cuter name down the line for it. The Long Wong Foundation or something like that. But
right, I mean, Cleveland Courage is pretty catchy. I mean, just for the name, I heard just for the name, people are donating. They don't even know what it's about.
Exactly, and so Long Wong Dong something. I don't know. Some catchy name to come up with.
All right, cool. Well, people can direct. I mean, and you're in the book, I'm sure, and
absolutely.
All attorneys
or
are.
you can Google me, or just stop by and hand me cash. That's fine too.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, hey, Raymond, Richard Chandler, thanks for being on our show. Thanks for being part of the problem.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me, and please just keep those donations and this poor man in your thoughts.
Absolutely. Thanks for being part of the problem.
Thank you.
All right. Scrub Radio, back to the music.